Hey everyone, it's Jonathan, and welcome to a bonus Tangents episode. While Nicki, Sarah, and I were recording our Win in the Willows episodes, we went off on a lot of tangents. So many, in fact, that instead of making an extended version for Patreon, I decided to separate them all out into their own Tangents episode. And then I decided to make a shorter bonus podcast out of all of them to release during my regular holiday break. The version on Patreon is available to all support levels, including free members, so if you're interested in the extra long version, in which we listen to some copyrighted music that I was not going to put on YouTube, then feel free to join there and listen. Nicki and I always have plenty of tangents when we record together, and when we have a third person, it extends that out even further. Most of our conversations here I had a lot of fun listening back to as I was editing, and I figured I'd share them with all of you who'd want more of our random trivial tangents.
Now if we only had some of your pizza right now.
No doubt. John, why didn't you order us pizza?
I don't know if they will deliver this late and out in the country.
Some people's kids. Well, I don't live in the country. And I could slide it through my mic to you guys. It might take it a while.
I don't know if I need to give the Twilight Zone more of a chance, because, like, I have more than one. Like, I think I have an uncle and my sister they seem to think my sister definitely is into Twilight Zone, and I've not watched that much, and I've not been that, like, maybe if I was in the right headspace of, like, this is going to be weird, extremely memorable, and probably not have any kind of happy resolution.
Well, and there's a variety of episodes. I was gonna say it's an anthology, and I apologize for tangenting off into the distance.
I have more to tangent once you're done tangenting. So,
but I think if it's starting with the episodes that, because there are episodes that are like the ones that are known and the ones that make you turn your head and go, "Holy crap, that came out of nowhere." But there are also ones that are very sweet. There are some really cute episodes. It's a very much a week-to-week thing.
See, I need, like, the cute collection.
I can get together a list for John for you if you like. I mean, genuinely. There are some...
Well, and I like... If it's deep and unsettling, that doesn't mean I'm not going to appreciate it.
But if there's a place to start you off where it's like, okay, this is kind of like level one. You know, kind of the cute... funny or like there are some very like heartfelt episodes. Like I think it's episode 3 where that one goes and how it kind of tells its story is, to this day, it still makes me tear up because it is just this, I don't know. I tend to be a bit cynical, and it kind of cracks that.
It broke the barrier.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that does it. Like with Wayfair, the Wayfair episode, like I was sitting there kind of like tearing up a little bit because I can relate to that feeling of, you know, needing to go and not necessarily being able to, or not, you know, do you want to take that jump and leave everyone you have behind, or is it a case
Yes, you
of...
do, Nicki.
Well, I have in the past.
For at least 3 weeks, and then you can come back.
Oh, no, well, believe me, if my pocketbook could accommodate that,
right?
Believe me, I'd be out the door down the hall
without having to sleep in your own trunk.
Oh, 100%, exactly. You sleep on the street corner and thumb a ride. But,
I was like, one of those mattresses that fits in the back of a car. I think those are kind of cool. It's like poverty adventure, maybe a poverty adventure.
Oh, absolutely. You know,
the reason I was laughing earlier is because I have flashback to like the squirrel getting knocked out of the tree after they'd been kidnapped by aliens and then finding out it's fake. You know. Anyway, my sister loves that, seems to really love that episode where the woman is being stalked and she's trying to drive and get away, and she calls home.
Oh, the hitcher. Yeah, or hitchhiker.
And yeah, it turns out to be death, and she's actually dead, but she's been running away from it. No, yeah. And
not realizing it. Yeah, that one's a very powerful episode. The one in question, this guy is kind of like a street salesman. Like he sells knickknacks, and he's got his little briefcase that has the legs that go down and stuff. He's a guy that knows how to God, what's the term? He's a
Also-
hawker of things, and he knows how to not in a bad way. Like he's not a criminal guy. He's just really good at what he does. But he could sell ice to an Eskimo, basically. And because Death comes to him and says, "Okay, time to go," and he kind of says, "Oh, just give me whatever more time." He runs away, and because he does this, someone else takes his place, and he realizes what he's done. And then, he asks Death, "When is this person supposed to die?" And Death goes, "Oh, midnight," or whatever. And
Wait, so he's
This guy-
because he ran from death, somebody else is gonna die?
right, they fills his
Oh.
place.
Oh, dangity.
So then, like, he keeps Death enthralled throughout this whole time, selling him all of this stuff, the best pitch of his life, basically. And the time passes, and, like, the guy's Death is like, "Well, you've made me late. I'm still going to do this thing." And he says, "Well, I just gave the pitch of my life. I'm ready to go." And it's just this, I don't know. It hit me where I live, and it's a really good story. So,
But he dies.
but he gave the pitch of his life. He spent his life doing this thing.
Basically, he felt fulfilled.
Yeah, he did what he had set out to do.
Okay. Yeah, that's very...
He sacrificed himself for someone he loved.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that... Yep. Mm-hmm. The one with the stuffed squirrel they kind of ended it with a "don't drink. Otherwise, you might get kidnapped by aliens" type of pitch.
I'm trying to think
Not
what the
this-
stuffed squirrel one would be.
There was this giggling that they couldn't figure out where it was from. Everything was fake, and it turns out that they were the
yeah.
little people
Yeah,
kidnapped by
yeah.
giant aliens.
That's right. Okay, yeah.
to be in the dollhouse, basically.
Yes. Yeah, that one we haven't covered that. Like, I remember the episode, but we haven't covered that one yet. Like the stuffed squirrel was throwing me, but everything else, yeah, was.
So,
yeah,
don't drink irresponsibly seemed to be the message. Otherwise, you might wake up in the Twilight Zone.
You know what? And then that's not a terrible message to have. There's one episode that's funny. So behind the scenes, obviously, you had like big sponsorships for like all the episodes were heavily sponsored. Like cigarettes were, like Rod Serling would be smoking. He would do his monologue or his end monologue thing, and then he'd go into a commercial for whatever brand of cigarettes. But there were other like brand deals that they had, coffees and teas and Tide and toothpaste, whole 9 yards. They actually made them change. There was a British heavy episode, and they made them change the fact that they were serving tea to coffee to appease a coffee maker that was sponsoring the episode.
Even though it was British?
Yeah, even though it was British. And tea would be the normal thing you would have if you're talking British. Like, well, our people don't drink tea, they drink coffee. What are you trying to send as a message?
I mean, technically they drink coffee too, but...
But you're talking an American audience in the 60s. It was, stereotypes were kind of the norm for those things.
That's like, who do you point to as the bad guy there?
So, tangent number 17.
I could go for a decaf coffee or tea right now. Anyway, did we want to talk Piper at the Gates of Dawn, or do we need to cover anything else with the...
I think we could probably move on to Piper at the Gates of Dawn now.
I promise not to tangent into the Twilight Zone anymore. I'm sorry.
If it's relevant to Piper at the Gates of Dawn, feel free.
I mean, there's a lot of things I
Or
can relate
Ilra.
back to.
I mean, you might have some stroke come to you in there that totally relates.
True.
And
I will try to tamper them down.
I don't care if you want to talk about the Twilight Zone.
We need to stay on task. This is not a Twilight. We're doing 2 episodes this week, so I'm going to be spending enough time talking the Twilight Zone. But
do we still have Nicki?
I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry. I just didn't have anything to say at that moment, so apologies.
With the way things, people take liberties anyway, I think it was okay. It's not like killing off the Mad Hatter.
Which person killed off the Mad Hatter?
It was a 1930s version, and they just stuck the body outside. It was one of the worst versions ever, and it's so bad that it's memorable almost in a positive way because it's just so bad.
I think it's one I recommended to you years ago that you should do for your channel because it's such a weird, hilariously bad version.
Yeah, Alice is too grown up. She looks drunk. The rabbit creeped Jonathan out because of the way the mask was, and then they killed off the Mad Hatter and just dumped his body outside or whatever. It was so messed up.
That is a bit. That's so strange.
The Duchess comes after Alice with an axe at one point.
Oh, that was in that one too?
I think so.
Oh man, yeah, it was. Yeah, it's one of the worst adaptations ever. So much so that it's almost worth watching just for how bad it is.
It's one of the worst, but I like the fact that it's so bad because that's one of my favorite podcasts we ever recorded.
Tangent number. No, actually, I was looking at. I think you had also told me about. Maybe it was a Polish version of. Alice?
Czechoslovakian.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
man.
I was looking at that one too.
That is one of the most memorable. That would be in my top 5 most memorable podcasts with Jonathan, for sure. I made him laugh, I think, the other day because I was at the library sale and I saw this book that had this sort of dimly lit photograph with this doll. One of them had a rabbit's head that didn't really fit the doll, and then another doll next to it, and it made me think of the Czech Alice, I think. And it's thought of you, and send him a picture of it. It just looked it looked like it could go in the wrong direction if you wanted it to. Anyway.
Well, considering they've got the whole, and I know that this could lead to massive tangents, but they've got the whole Winnie the Pooh and Peter Pan and that whole grouping of movies.
The horror versions.
The horror versions of all those. That probably makes the main one look like Oscar worthy.
So they made an evil version of Winnie the Pooh. Was that some kind of joke?
No, there's
and they made a sequel to it because it was apparently so popular.
Well, the thing, it's not so much that it was popular. I think a lot of people hate watched it, and because the budget for it was so low, and it made what would be considered, I think, at 10 times its budget or something in return. They were like, oh, well, this is an easy thing, and now they're going to do the thing and probably
franchise it to death.
Yeah, exactly.
I love Winnie the Pooh. No, thank you.
Definitely stay away from it then. It's not a great movie to start. It's like if you've ever seen Sci-Fi Channel movies, the goofy it'd be I'm trying to think. My brain's not working.
She's probably not seen any of them.
No, understood. Take any random 2 predators, put their names together, and have it versus another set of predators with their names together, and they get weird quick.
Wasn't there one called Sharktopus versus the Werewhale or something?
Yeah, I think there is. I think
somebody spent their life force on that.
Oh, 100%. And there is an audience that would eat that stuff up. Yeah, there's a series of movies called Sharknado that
I have heard of that.
Yep, so that's kind of the kind of movie I'm talking about. But yeah,
I knew that there was a movie, and I've used the term myself. Oh, actually, I think I might have. Did I nickname a cat that? I had a cat that I used to call Sharky or Sharky Baby. He was my little gangster. Anyway.
Aww.
I love you, Timmy. Rest in peace. Anyway. We were talking about Piper at the Gates of Dawn. And now I'm on my dead cat. As is almost inevitable to somehow rabbit trail onto some dead pet. Oh, brother. Anyway, where were we going with that? Oh yeah, don't watch the scary Winnie the Pooh because he probably has an axe or something.
Yes, he actually does. That or a machete, I don't remember which. It's kind of like, it follows all the tropes of what you would consider like an 80s slasher movie.
Also have not watched 80s slashers movies. I do not.
Oh no.
For me to watch something scary, it has to be right.
No, understood. But you get the kind of tropes that come with it, you know, guy with an axe and a mask goes up to a house or a, you know, camp or whatever and basically kills everybody except for that one person. I mean, that's kind of the classic set of tropes.
See, I remember years ago hearing about watching a thing about the axe murder in Iowa, like a million years ago.
Alaska.
I was so
Velisca.
I was
Velisca
so disturbed. I was so disturbed. And it's not like they showed, you know, it's not like they had graphics of, you know, the eyeball on the floor or whatever. It's just like, no, I'm sensitive, but...
No, but that's the thing. I think it's... The thing that makes stuff scary is the psychological aspect. You put yourself in that situation or you imagine what it is.
Well, and also, wasn't he like a traveling preacher? Like,
I'm not sure about that. I didn't hear about Velasca.
I didn't think they were ever solved.
Right. I didn't remember hearing about Velasca until I got to college. I'm pretty rural I was pretty rural in my neck of the woods, so we had some scary houses.
I was in college when I heard about the Velisca axe murders too.
Like there was a lot of places that were supposedly haunted, but that was haunted, not, you know, site of a bloody massacre.
See, I have so much belief in the supernatural that it's like, And
you don't want to tempt it. No, that's fair.
Well, oh sure, by watching scary things, like, yeah, come on over, guys. Let's invite some bad energies into the house. And other people, it's just like, whatever, it's no big deal. It's just a scary movie. And it's like, yeah, you have your, okay.
Well, yeah, no, everybody's got their different interpretations of those things. I mean, I tend to fall in the latter camp. You know, it's the psychological stuff that'll get to me. Like, Alfred Hitchcock is going to do more to creep me out than any kind of blood or guts. But that's
whereas I would probably
look at it.
Okay. I might be the opposite.
Oh no, no.
I couldn't. But just watching the Peeps version of the birds really disturbed me.
That's scary as hell.
You know, because it's like, yeah, you put Peeps over it, but I know what's actually happening. Just because you put Peeps over his eyes that have been gouged out and Peeps over the little girl that's getting pecked to death doesn't mean that I can't connect the dots here. No, Thank you. I'm not going to be watching that movie.
No, understood. And the thing is, people do get dive bombed, and
he thought it was hilarious, that version of it. I think he took it maybe as it was intended, to take a scary thing and actually make it cute and funny or something. It's like, no, I read behind the Peeps, and it was too much.
That's a skill in itself, though, to read behind the Peeps, because not everybody can.
So that can be my autobiography title.
I like it.
I read behind the Peeps.
No, I look at all those like 80s slashers and stuff, and I see the production stuff behind it because that's what I do in my normal life. I do what John does, kind of. And like just the practical effects that went into creating whatever the thing was, that's fascinating to me. So I see it, but it's all
you're seeing the structure. You're seeing the whole ingredients list, not this whole... not as much as focusing on the story of, oh yeah, that's how they did the blood.
Exactly. It's like Carol syrup, red food coloring, and whatever else went into, you know, make it a little bit less, you know, syrupy or whatever. Yeah, no, it's 100% that.
Quick question, because you might know, and this has nothing to do with what we should be talking about.
we departed that train station a while back.
But you might have the answer. Why did 70s blood look so fake? Was it because their brains hadn't transitioned from black and white yet?
Well, in some cases, it was depending upon what they filmed on. Like if you're talking like and this is me spitballing. I don't have a for sure answer across the board. Like if you look at stuff in the UK they did a series of monster movies that were based off of the same subject matter as Universal in the 30s. So you had Frankenstein, Dracula, The Mummy, all those that were done in the 30s by Universal, and then in the 50s and 60s and 70s they did them in the UK with this studio called Hammer. Everything that they wanted everything to be vibrant and over the top's not the right word, but very visually stunning. So every color that they used was very like saturated to the point of silly.
Okay.
It also I think was probably paint that they were using for blood. It might have been film stock as well. And obviously the 60s you had black and white, you also had color, but I think it was making a statement. It was also could have been the color processing to like develop the film could have been done in Technicolor, which is like what you see in The Wizard of Oz.
So it looked more realistic in real life, maybe, as they were filming?
Well, it'd be actually super real life, so it would be, again, saturated more than what you would have in than a normal movie.
Which, bonus is not going to be as scary if it looks super fake.
100%. Or someone might see it and go, oh my gosh, that's twice as scary because it's so red. It's like in the 80s when they did slashers. It wasn't just, you'll always hear like on shows like Mythbusters, like what you would get with actual blood splatter versus what you get with like movie blood splatter, not even close to the same thing. But, they want you to look at it and go, oh, dear Lord, and faint, or whatever.
I think one of my biggest... Oh, man, I shouldn't even start talking about... Well, and this is what scares me, and this... I won't even...
No, don't put yourself in a place it's not worth that. But...
Because if I start, then I have a whole list. But that's another, like with Winnie the Pooh, the people making that probably might not care anyway. But if you read the original books, there's not just incredibly sweet, but there's also a depth there that you might miss with other cartoons. But anyway.
Oh no, understood.
There's this whole I guess speech. Speech doesn't seem like the right word. Monologue at the beginning of this one chapter talking about streams and rivers, and it's basically this whole analogy between adulthood and childhood or youth, and how the streams hurry, but rivers know this. We will get there someday, or something like that. It's really lovely. Anyway.
And one final thought on that. I think and I say this because not to explain these guys by any stretch, but I think it's a case of, because the copyright came up, because Disney can be Disney. Excuse me. I think it's a little bit of kind of going, well, this was, they protected this for so long, we're gonna do we're gonna try to do this thing to it because it was,
Is it resentment?
They look at Disney. It's Well, it's that, and it's because Disney can be a bit the way Disney can be.
Like basically resentment towards Disney being so protective of their material that they want to make a mockery of it?
Not necessarily. It's because Disney, like, you look at the brand and there's a lot of stuff about it that can be a little shifty. Like Disney as a brand, that aspect of it.
So are they trying to vilify them somehow? Or
to some extent it's that. To some extent it's, it's like if a store is open on Thanksgiving, there are people that will go because it's open, because it's there.
Yeah.
Because Pooh came open as a public domain property, people look at that and go, well, here's this thing that we can skewer. So let's do it. That's just the thought. It's outrage bait because people will go, people will talk about it. It's like any publicity is good publicity kind of a deal.
That sounds elevated.
There's a lot of, that's, look at any movie that's come out. The 2016 Ghostbusters with the all-female cast. There was a huge outpouring of people that were upset because, well, they're redoing the Ghostbusters, they're destroying my childhood because they're doing this, they're trying to erase what was. And I guarantee you, if they had just released the movie without all the hum and ho and whatnot, it would have been an average movie. But because, whether they, lit the fires and tried to get things stirred up, or whether it was just people's reactions or whatever, it became this whole thing of, well, yes, it's just, destroying what the Ghostbusters was, and on the other side it was, well, this is just chill, it's not that big of a deal. It's that dual-sided thing that drove people to the box office, that made people talk. It kept it top of mind, regardless of the quality of the movie.
Like, they were trying to wonder whether it would be as good as the original, or...
Well, it was a case of, how dare you make this thing, with any reboot. People get emotional about it, or why do they keep making remakes, or whatever it might be.
People hopefully get emotional about a lot of things, so...
100%. No, but...
I got upset when the price of beans went up, so...
Right. But that's... Think about that, but then they rebrand the beans and change the recipe.
Yeah, that could be upsetting.
And
I can't really talk because I can watch. Yeah, see me like this is like the book and this is not like the book, but it's okay or it's not okay.
Well, and it's always that balance of what is your line. Everybody that goes into these things, whether we're talking about Wind in the Willows or we're talking about, whatever movie has recently been, rebooted, or, they change the recipe of whatever thing at whatever restaurant. There's always going to be that line that everybody has. It's like, well, it doesn't taste like it did, but it still is good, or,
Like, there's this music group that I like, and I remember reading about how one concert they did a whole new set list of music, and people were not happy. And so after that, they learned to mix the new in with the old.
And that's a good lesson to learn, is that balance of what is your audience, what is it going to, where do you need to be?
It's those will be favorites later on. Like, people, they need to be able to do new things, but...
And there's tempering of that too, sometimes it's, we're going to do all new, because there are bands that will say, well, we performed these for ages, we're no longer going to perform those, we're only going to perform new stuff. Because we've played the same songs, for the past 5 years, and we need a break. We're burnt out.
Understandable.
Right, but it is that balance of, you still have to respect the fans that came up with you, as well as gain new ones, and that balance of, where does that lie? It could differ audience to audience.
Well, and then if they loved the song but they'd never gotten to see it in concert, that would be special too.
100%. And that's the nature of anything. We go along and, you get to that age where it's like, you see these properties being redone, and it's like, well, what is the line for what's acceptable? And for some people, nothing will match what the original was, but they forget that, I saw this when I was 5, you're not going to have the same feeling about that thing, 20 years later, if that's the first time you had seen it.
Let's go to a concert now and eat beans.
I like it. I have a really good baked bean recipe.
Ooh.
And I just found out about calico beans. Those things are so good. I could eat them every day.
What are calico beans?
So it's like a bunch of different kinds of beans put together. You've got bacon, and it's what else is in there?
You said bacon, so
yes. But they're amazing. I'll find the recipe and send it to John, and he can pass it on, because it is basically, it's elevated baked beans.
Maybe this needs to be the next family gathering. I don't know.
It's a classic Midwest dish. I'll tell you that.
I feel like I have had, like, from a can with whatever bacony or pig product. Beans and pig are friend.
Oh, very much.
It's a
so.
friendship.
It is a very good friendship, and it's baked beans, bacon. There's a couple other kinds of beans in there, and then there's a few other things as well. But
I think I've had that, but it would have been years and years ago, and I don't remember even where I had that. But that sounds very familiar.
Let me look up the
have it snuggled right up against the fluffy salad with the mini marshmallows, so they sort of.
Yummy. Now you guys are
that was very much a Midwestern response there, I think. You knew exactly what I was talking about and what it would taste like.
I'm from the other side of the state, not the other side of the world. All right, so I'm just looking at a recipe here. I don't have my recipe in front of me, but ground beef, bacon, pork and beans, kidney beans, butter beans, lima beans, brown sugar, chopped onion, celery, ketchup, white vinegar, and mustard powder.
I'd eat that for sure.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, again, this isn't my recipe, but this is what it looks like.
That looks good.
I've done a cold bean salad before that had all kinds of different beans in it and like chili sauce and bell pepper and stuff. Yeah, and
that makes everything better.
It makes this huge batch, and I wonder how long we've been tangenting on this particular tangent. Like
probably a while.
It's probably not a record, but it's up there.
I think it's enough if you wanted to do a whole other tangenty podcast.
Like,
but I guess we kind of got personal on some stuff. So
Slasher, Winnie the Pooh, Dead Pet, mixed beans.
The ins and outs of why blood is red, which may or may not be correct.
And I don't even know where it started.
I don't either.
That's extremely tangenty.
Yes.
I think you said something about the Mad Hatter getting killed off in a version, and then it turned into a whole other thing.
I started.
That's okay. I fueled the fire.
So where did we leave off?
We hadn't started on the Piper at the gate yet.
Well, we had. I mean,
Well,
the
we
chapter,
barely had.
like, but they hadn't left to look for Portly yet.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if I'd want to be with somebody who disrespects the wind and the Willows. Like, you don't get it. If you there are some things you don't get in life if you disrespect the wind and the Willows.
Wind and the Willows, Winnie the Pooh, Beatrix Potter.
Yeah, if you have a lot of shade to throw for these precious stories, then I don't know. Might not be close in any capacity.
Yeah, that's a first date question, right?
How do you feel about British stories involving anthropomorphic animals? I need to know if we're gonna get serious here.
Exactly. Between the main course and dessert, you say, so we've connected over a couple of things, not connected over others, but this is a make or break question for you. You better sit back because this is serious.
And if you pass If you pass the test, after that we can talk about finances and children.
All of a sudden, the flour that he's got there just goes.
And do you like pineapple on pizza?
Oh, that's a must.
That's not a make or break question, but
that would be a make or break question for me.
I do. I love it. So I guess we can be friends.
Woohoo! See, now I go. Pineapple, Canadian bacon, and spinach on mine, or I'll go barbecue chicken and pineapple.
Oh, I bet that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, I might have to mention that one to my sister because she likes loading on the toppings.
Oh, yeah.
And she likes barbecue, so...
Yeah, you can actually do... I've done pizzas where the barbecue sauce is actually like the sauce.
Yes,
and then they'll do... Yeah, a fantastic... Like, for me at least, I really like it, but... I've been called a weirdo, so take that how you will.
Everybody's weird. Or
that
vanilla. Is true. I mean, just depending on who you're talking to.
No doubt there.
Where were we? I thought before, like, if you were to go to heaven and you had to come back, how much longing that might create in your heart. And, like, I think that we're put in the world to either learn whatever we need to learn or fulfill whatever mission we need to fulfill. And if all we know is paradise, then we might just... This is not what they're talking about here, but if all that we knew was paradise, how much longing we might have for it. And I don't know whether that would be... keep us off track. I don't know. I could keep going, but that's really not what we're talking about.
I mean, there is some truth to that, though. I mean, that like, even if you look at like Lord of the Rings, the song that kind of sticks with them after they go back to the Shire, you know, the way that they were changed, you know, was in large part by the elves, and that was the songs of the elves were a great part of that.
Now you're making me think of limbus bread and like flaky pastry or something, and I don't know, maybe I need a snack. It's just
possibly.
Never thought of limbus bread as flaky pastry.
It's not
baklava.
But it's elven baklava without all the refined sugar.
Just change it out for honey, it'll be fine.
Oh, yum. Oh, man.
Do you want to get a snack? Before we continue? Okay.
Oh, see, this happened the last podcast. We got talking about food. We just did one a little bit ago over... My brain's not functioning.
The Alice in Wonderland promotional specials from the 60s,
with Jenna,
50s.
With Jenna. And we got talking about... Because it was sponsored by Coca-Cola, and we got talking about pizza.
Specifically pineapple pizza again.
Yes.
Ooh,
It is the topic of late summer, early fall here, whatever.
I would agree.
Definitely recommend the book. Especially if you just need something wholesome. If you're over it and you need something cozy and wholesome along with your pineapple pizza and your cocoa and just hang out with a nice cat and yeah.
I could see that. Also, I just got over a cold and lemonade and lemon, like warmed up lemonade with lemon or honey.
My grandma
Incredible.
called that a hot toddy. Even though
my dad was raised out on a farm and a hot toddy was whiskey, lemon, and honey.
This was probably the Baptist version of a hot toddy.
The teetotaler. Nothing wrong with that at all. They would also do blackberry brandy. If you were dealing with a cough, you would. My mom would constantly do blackberry brandy.
Well, that sounds very fancy.
Oh, 100%. They even had fancy little glasses. Like the little tiny, like, inch and a half tall, like, little glasses that you do, like it'd basically be a shot glass, but with a fancy stem.
So when you're sick, you can still be fancy.
100. You have to have your pinky in the air to do it properly.
As you try not to, sneeze into the...
Exactly. Why does this taste so weird? Just drink it. I'm not fancy. You will be fancy.
Why are there chunks in it? Anyway.
Those are the best parts. Just don't bite down.
You're just reminding me that I should pick elderberries. I was just making a note. Okay, so they're reunited.
John, I feel so bad for you having to edit this, genuinely.
I'll probably survive. Probably.
Yay! Just remember we love you.
Don't let us take you down.
I think we probably could bring this one to a close.
Is that all three?
That was the 3 from the book.
Oh, wow. So it's in the, what, roughly 2.5 or hour and a half?
No, more like 2 hours.
That we've been...
2-ish hours.
Yeah.
Watch it be like a half-hour episode.
I was just going to say, I would not be surprised. Could probably 45 minutes. If I was a betting woman, I would say 45 minutes tops.
I'll probably either make an extremely extended version to just go up on the Patreon podcast feed or make like a separate tangent episode. Because the tangents really had nothing to do with Wind in the
No.
Willows.
It's like if somebody just needed somebody to hang out with and they didn't have anybody at the moment and you wanted to hear some really random conversation.
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Does it have pineapple on it?
Yes. Everything good has pineapple on it. And if anybody tries to tell you otherwise, don't listen.
Don't trust them.
Do not trust. They will lead you astray.
No.
Exactly.
We did pretty well. We kind of need to so that Jonathan can sleep.
That would be good.
And doesn't pepperoni sound good?
And doesn't what?
Doesn't pepperoni sound good?
I mean, I'm sure that they're still open here. Like I say, I could order a pizza and shove it through the mic.
Oh, thank you. Please hurry.
Thick crust or thin?
Oh, shoot, both. No, thin. But lots of it.
I don't know. That might be a very disturbing visual if I just saw, like, my microphone start leaking sauce and a pizza just start, like, shoving its way out of it.
Your gummy vitamins might have gone off.
Oh, no doubt.
Hallucination going on there.
Hey, you know what? You ask for pizza, you gotta take it the way that it comes.
Like on Hook with the imaginary food.
I like it.
But in continuing on with our fan fiction, besides my pepperoni distraction,
Well, you know those lights that hang down that have like they'll either twinkle or they've got like the strands that are like 6 or 8, and then like like what we call icicle lights over there. Those are called fairy lights.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite the same thing, but
probably bigger on the fairy thing than we are here, as much as Americans like fairies. I don't know.
oh yeah. Well, and there's more. At least some areas there's basis for that. Like areas. Well, I guess it's more Ireland than England, but they have areas that are cordoned off because they're called fairy rings. Like you're not allowed to build highways or things in those places because those are traditional places of not magic, but like fairy stuff. So
like they believe something supernatural is going on there.
exactly. It dates back to Celtic. One of my favorite things over there is oh god, I can't think of what it's called.
Did you go to Ireland?
I did. Yeah, I spent.
I feel like we talked about that.
Probably, yeah. I spent a semester over there in college, and then I worked in England after I graduated.
Lucky.
Yeah. Well, it took a lot to make it happen. But it was fun.
Luck
I
with
really
lots
enjoyed
of hard work.
Yeah, and way too much money spent. But fascinating time. If you ever get the chance, I highly suggest like taking a trip over there. It was...
If I could like get a passport and keep entering my name in contests to win vacations.
There you go.
You can have a weekend and go see a play and stuff.
Exactly. Just remember 6 hours ahead. That's the best thing I can tell you. Like time zone wise. So
sure. So fairies are a thing on the tree.
Yeah. Well, so there's a tree, and I apologize. I'm gonna completely screw this up, but there's a tree. Like if you go over there, one of the things with Celtic myths is there's a tree where if someone has wronged you, you can take a strip of their clothing and put it on this tree, and it will, in theory, curse them.
Oh.
It's called the cursing tree. But you'll see trees along the way, and they're covered in pieces of clothing.
There's a lot of bitterness going down in Ireland, apparently.
To some extent. I mean, you know what? If it's a good way
it keeps you out of jail, but gets rid of some of your feelings.
Exactly. Well, and then there was I'm trying to think if that was English or Irish. There was no, there was a picture taken in the 50s or 70s that purported to show fairies playing with little kids. I think they ultimately debunked it, but that was another thing where fairies came into play. So There is, what I'm trying to say is there is a tradition of fairies in the British/Irish Isles.
Wouldn't it be terrible if you got up to the tree to put your little strip of cloth on there and then you recognized a piece of cloth from the same person that you're both going there to curse each other?
You know what? That would give you more reason to curse that other person.
That's when you like take it down and you go shake it in their face. So like,
see, but I think there was something about that too. If you did that, you would receive whatever curse was meant.
Oh, dangity!
Double cursed.
Dangity! Oh man, that's when it starts getting complicated when you're trying to nix your curses and curse.
Absolutely. See, it's best if you're going to commit to put something on the tree, you have to know that you're going to commit to it. It's like a monkey's paw. You know, if you do this thing, you accept the consequences that come with it. And it's never going to be what you expect.
This sounds healthy.
Oh, 100%. Well,
nothing bad could come.
There's a lot of. I mean, that part of Ireland is quite Catholic, and there's a lot of passive aggressive natures. And when you're talking Catholics, I know this because I am one.
Is it like we're supposed to be nice, but I want to get you back?
It's called being human and pushing all that stuff down too far, and then it comes out in strange ways.
You hobbling along with your little strip of cloth trying to find the tree.
Exactly.
Think you're going to overcharge me on my phone bill?
Screw you, Verizon.
You can't solve my problem, eh?
You have to make sure that the piece of cloth that you're getting is specifically attached to Verizon, the company, and not the poor person that's actually working at Verizon that, gave you the bad news but can't really control the way that Verizon operates. But there's a lot of stuff that you have to think about.
A Guide to Cursing by Nicki.
Oh, yeah. You're going to all end up dead if you're going to go by that. That or with massive wedgies.
The most evil of curses.
Oh, man. Not even a question. Well, if you're not able to get a wedgie out, man, they can't touch it, can't get close to it, that's a pretty bad curse.
Then your enemy knows that you've been to the tree.
Exactly. Johnny, do you have a wedgie? No, not at all. You've been to the cursing tree. No, I really haven't. Did you just get cursed again? Oh, yes. We need to be poking it out with a set of tweezers. It's so tight up in there.
This is the bonus podcast right here.
The bonus podcast that's 3 times as long as the main podcast.
Oh, man.
If you want to hear
the further we go along, the more tired we're gonna get, and the more goofy we're gonna get.
We're over halfway, maybe 2/3. We're basically done with that one because we left off with like chain smoking Billy.
We were into the last one talking about the fairy on the Christmas tree, which turned into Irish fairy curses.
Oh yeah, my brain went back too far in the program here.
That's okay.
So we can give ourselves even more credit that we've made it that far. Okay, so.
But until then, do you guys want to let people know where they can find more of your work, Sarah?
Turnip Wilson on Society 6 and Redbubble, and Turnip Wilson Creates on Etsy. Whimsical and realistic watercolors that I do that tie in nicely with some of the stories that we do together.
And Nicki?
You can find me on Trivial... Oh, shoot, sorry. You can find me... Sorry, I hit my mic thing.
Can find me buying pizza.
Yeah, you'll find me ordering a large pizza with pineapple and... Actually, pineapple and pepperoni is a really solid combination. Either way, anyway, pizza recommendation out of the way. You can find me here, or you can, for God's sake, get my... Okay. You can find me on YouTube at Trivial Theater. I do a wide array of random, obscure, and straight-up bad movies.
Okay. Well, until next year.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and follow my co-hosts as well. My link tree and all of our links will be in the description below. If you want more of my content, all my podcasts are available on YouTube as well as most podcast platforms. If you enjoyed this show, check out one of the other podcasts or check out my Patreon for bonus and extended episodes you won't find anywhere else. We'll be back soon with another brand new episode, so thanks for listening and we'll see you next time. Thank you.